Hello, Captain's Log, October 8th, 2021. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I won't be uploading tomorrow. And yes, I know in my last video was Taylor's birthday. Our birthdays are just coincidentally close to each other. It's a very good coincidence. Today, we are going to be talking about Chris Chan's made-up religion and how it makes no fucking sense. Yeah, what a shock. The religion made by a crazy guy makes no sense. Well, let's talk about some of the weird shit Chris Chan has believed in and why it just contradicts what he believes in now. So, the first deity in Chris Chan's religion would have to be the God Bear. God Bear is an entity that Chris Chan met at the mall, and it told him that he needed to change his name because the bear just didn't get his name right. But Chris Chan did see this as an actual deity, and even referred to it as such in his comics and in real life. So God Bear is the first deity in Chris Chan's religion, and he's definitely one of the lower ranking deities. Well, in the Sonichu comics, Chris Chan would establish the Ancient Prophecy. Now, the ancient Cherokee leader that Chris Chan is reincarnated from, he's not really a god per se, but he is kind of treated like a god. He's more so just like a ripoff of the Pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'm going to put him up here in the deities and part of the religion because the Ancient Prophecy was very relevant to why Chris Chan thought that he could be God. So the Cherokean leader and the Cherokean powers and the Ancient Prophecy is one of the stepping stones of Chris Chan's evolution to being a god. And him having the Ancient powers basically gave him god powers. He could transform his body at will. He could take things from his fictional world and make them real. Like, he could take inanimate objects and bring them to life. He was able to clone himself to make his twin sister. The ancient powers basically allowed him to do anything. He could even steal powers from other people, like he does all the time in the comics, stealing powers from other Sonichus. So, ancient powers were pretty OP. But they weren't as OP as he would get later on. Now, how the Ancient Powers worked at first was that Chris Chan had a magical medallion. And he made the medallion himself, but for some reason it is magical. Later on, he would retcon the medallion to be just a conduit of magic, and he could transfer the magic from medallion to medallion, so when people steal the medallion or get him to shove it up his butt, he can still have his powers. He also said the powers came from his high school ring, but now later on it's been established that the powers can just be held in his ring, and the ring really isn't the source of any power in particular. So we have the high school ring, we have the Sonichu medallion, and we have these vague and mysterious ancient powers and ancient prophecy. And that would be the status quo for a while. Chris Chan would just have these powers. He could do whatever the fuck he wanted. It didn't matter. Now, this is where I'm going to start butchering shit. Because I know little to nothing about the Neptunia shit. And I'm not going to look into it. I have no interest in it. And I'm not going to look into Neptunia for Chris Chan. But the idea guys came along, and they got him to believe in Neptunia shit. So basically, Chris Chan believes that he is some type of fusion between the goddess of the Commodore Nation and the goddess of the fucking Sega Dreamcast. He believes he's a fusion of them. And there's another offshoot before this where he thinks he's a hippie from the 1970s, but I'm not including the hippie because the hippie has no abilities and has no magical powers as far as I know. So hippie is being disregarded. We're talking just about Neptunia. So Chris Chan believes that he's a fusion between two Neptunia goddesses, and he ended up adding those names to his full name, and his full name is now just ridiculous. Now, the Neptunia powers were supposed to give him power over reality in our world, but he could only access the power of our world when the dimensional merge happened. And the dimensional merge was supposed to merge the reality of fiction with our normal reality. So it would be almost like an apocalyptic event where Chris Chan would become one of the gods among all gods. When Chris Chan talked about the other gods, he mentioned God, who he refers to as Emmanuel, or the Jewish God, and he mentions Jesus. And he mentions that God and Jesus are separate, even though that contradicts Christianity, but whatever. Later on, Christian would say that despite God's name being Emmanuel, that God is a woman, but Jesus is a man, and he does talk to Jesus, and he does talk to God from time to time, and that they are separate people. Well, here recently, Christian has changed that yet again. Christian now says that he is Jesus. Now, this makes no fucking sense. For the past few years, Christian has been saying that God and Jesus are separate people, and that he talks to both of them. So if God and Jesus are separate people and he talks to both of them, how can he be Jesus? He at first starts saying he has similar parallels to Jesus, then he directly claims to be a reincarnation of Jesus. And that's not how any of this works. You could say that he sees reincarnations like he does with the Cherokee leader. The Cherokee leader still exists as a ghost, despite Christian being a reincarnation of him. But then Christian says that he's a reincarnation of a hippie from the 1970s, and he's never portrayed her existing in a ghost form. So, Christian doesn't understand how religion works, Christian doesn't understand how reincarnation works, and Christian now thinks that he is Jesus, despite the fact that he's supposed to be friends with Jesus, and Jesus is supposed to be like a tier of God alongside him. And so Christian's religion makes absolutely no sense. It's just whatever he reads that day. He read Yu-Gi-Oh shit, so he made it Yu-Gi-Oh. He read fucking Neptunia shit, or played Neptunia shit, or was told about Neptunia shit, so he made it Neptunia. He's now reading the Bible, which is a terrible idea. The prison shouldn't have gave him that, or the jail shouldn't have gave him that. I use those interchangeably, but some people get mad that I do. But now he's trying to work Christianity more into his fucking bullshit. And it just keeps getting more convoluted. It just keeps getting more stupid. And Christian's fucking world makes no sense. His world building makes no fucking sense. His lore makes no fucking sense. And I didn't even bring up the Rick and Morty shit and the Marvel shit and how that plays into his world building. Maybe later I'll do a whole video just about Christian's world building and how that makes no fucking sense. But hopefully you guys learned something today about Christian's religion and about how it makes no fucking sense. My birthday will be tomorrow, so if you want to wish me a happy birthday, you can do it now in the comment section below. I won't be making a video on my birthday, I'm taking that day off. So hopefully you guys had a good day, and hopefully you guys like this video, share it, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.